This is a green screen shot, and this is the same shot, but I changed the background using AI as a tool. You can even relight the entire scene without ever needing to type in a prompt yourself. We just built a tool inside DaVinci Resolve that can add AI visual effects using all the best AI video and image models. This runs both on the cloud and also locally and for free on your own GPU. No jumping between 5 different websites. This all happened inside DaVinci Resolve itself, start to finish. The amount of response the previous video got is absolutely insane. So here I can hopefully clarify some things on how the plugin works and how you can use it. Much more updates are coming to make this better. So having a great community of filmmakers, editors, and VFX artists who already are using this tool has been so valuable, and your feedback means a lot to this channel. The plugin is now available on Gumroad as a one-time payment, or you can also go to our paid community on School. In there I have much more courses and tutorials just like this one. The plugin is also included when you join the community. Now the plugin works on both free and studio version of Resolve. I've done all the testing on Resolve version 21. Here's how to set everything up within the plugin. Just give me a few minutes to explain it. It's connected to fal.ai with the newest models, so you pay per generation, nothing when you don't, so there's no wasted credits. Here we are in fal.ai, and when you made an account, we can go to the right here on the top and select API keys. And as you can see, I had many different API keys for testing, but you can add your key right here, then rename it like AI Video Studio. And with this button, we can also copy our key it just created. So copy that key, and when you go to AI Video Studio, we can go to our settings, make sure it's in fal.ai mode. When we scroll down, we will have an option to add our fal.ai key. So simply paste it, then save the key, and you will see a green dot saying it's connected. And that's literally all you have to do. So now when we go to video generation and select one of our models, we can start generating right away. You can also select your output folder for every generation. If you've got a beefy GPU, you can plug the whole thing into ComfyUI and generate your images and video 100% locally and for free using free models like FLUX 2 and LTX 2.3. Running it locally is only available on Windows for now. I'm looking for a fix to get it working on Mac soon, so stay tuned for that. But here's how you set that up. First of all, make sure you have a working version of ComfyUI installed on your system. So within the settings, if we switch to local ComfyUI mode, it will automatically start up your ComfyUI in the background, so you don't have to do anything. It connects with a server address, so you can auto detect. Make sure the ComfyUI server is connected, and then when we scroll down, we have all the local models for images and videos that we can download. Be aware that some of these models are up to 20 gigabytes, so make sure you have a bit of storage to run all these models. You can also choose the download folder on where they are saved. For some models, we need a free license so we can start using it correctly. And for that, I also have a Hugging Face token that we need to input into our plugin. To set that up, go to Hugging Face and make an account for that. And then same thing as we go to the settings, we can go to access tokens this time. Then we have user access tokens. We can create a new token, rename it something like AI Video Studio. And then for this plugin, we want it to read only, and then create a token. Then we can copy and paste that token into our plugin. All the licenses, we can go to license, then it will automatically go to that model, and we can simply agree and access, so we have access to that model. And same thing when we go to video generation, for example, we have our models that runs locally on our GPU. Same thing for images, we can also select our image models. And this also works in the nodes, so if you add a new image model, for example, we can also select the different models. We even have a built-in assistant within the plugin, just like Claude or ChatGPT. For that, the plugin uses free open models built by the community on build.nvidia.com. and this runs for free on your own system as well. So simply go to your account again, and then in API keys, we can generate an API key again, and then copy and paste this into our NVIDIA key. Now, when everything is set up correctly, we can start generating inside of DaVinci Resolve. We can even go to edit video now to test if it's really connecting with our timeline. And it is. It's now playing the exact clip like we have in our previewer. And one thing to keep in mind is when we cut a clip and then select it, when we refresh the timeline clip, it will only select that 1 second of video we have selected. And here we can draw the video, we can reframe our video, we can relight it, upscale it, and these are all the main parameters for editing our videos. When you go to video generation, we can also capture our current resolve frame, so that way it captures just a still frame from that, and we can also edit our videos this way. Same thing in the notes. When I add a reference image, we can also capture our current resolve frame. And this can be handy for multiple instances. For example, creating transitions within your clip, add a video model, Seedance for example, and then we can add a first and last frame, generate a prompt, and just create transitions or whatever you would like. Now you can use this tool for many different cases. We can generate full AI videos, we can generate images. I mostly use this for AI visual effects, so we can add visual effects using AI right in Resolve. So here I'll show you the full workflow on how to generate backdrops for your green screen and also relighting our entire footage. Now here is the sample footage we will use from the green screen. Link is in the description if you want to use this raw footage so you can do your own testing at home. And I was actually lying to you earlier because this green screen is actually extended. This is the original shot because I don't have much space here in this room. Now, if you watch the footage, we have our key light on the right front side here. And then on the left, we have our backlight. That just helps for some separation between the background and the foreground element. And our AI tools will recognize that lighting setup and try to match the background as close as possible. Now, if you only want to relight your scenes, we can even do it without a green screen at all and some flat lighting because it's AI and everything will be replaced anyway. But if you want to have the most control over your shots, having real lighting in the scene and a green screen can help for production. I will show you how to key out this footage later in the video. I will first generate the backdrop. Now I will only select a portion of the clip that I want to edit. For example, this part right here. You can then go to Workspace, Workflow Integrations and add AI Video Studio. Then go to the backdrop generator and make sure to load the clip. And here we have a bunch of presets that we can select so we don't have to type any prompts. For example, I can select our background type. We can have a podcast studio, broadcast studio, live stage. But I will describe the scene myself. For example, I want a alleyway backlight coming from the left. Then time of the day, I will choose night. I don't want to relight the scene, so I will match the reference so it uses our lighting we have in the scene. Color grade, I will also match the lighting. And atmosphere, I want something hazy and foggy. Focal length, I will choose 35mm because I know this was shot on a 35. Then aperture, I will select very blurred. Bokeh shape, I will select anamorphic because I like that anamorphic style look. And camera angle, I will say match my reference. Then we also have optional foreground elements that we want to implement or objects that we want to describe in the scene. You can also select relight the whole scene, so that will embed it into the prompt. And one final thing we can add is style and location references. And that will only use that as a reference. It will analyze the picture and then add it into the prompt. So we can save the image or simply copy the image link, then hit add, and we will paste that link right here. And that image will then be added as a reference. Then we can build our AI instruction so it can generate the perfect prompt. We can then copy everything for AI or make it with our built-in assistant. For example, if I say copy with AI, this will copy the images and also a instruction. So if we paste that in Claude, for example, it will give us the references it needs and also give all the instructions with the settings we just input. Then hit send in the chat and it will automatically create the prompts for you. Now I can also make it with our built-in assistant, and that does exactly the same thing. It inputs our reference images, give us a set of instructions, then we can hit send in the chat, and here it will give us the prompts that we can copy and paste within the plugin. Claude is a bit better in analyzing images, so if you want to go for accuracy, I recommend pasting it into Claude. But if you want to have it faster and without a subscription for Claude, for example, we can do it right here within the plugin. It will give us a background plate prompt and also a subject and scene prompt. You can choose which one you want to copy and paste, but we can also copy and paste both prompts into the prompt box right here. And then in our tool, we can still select subject and scene or empty background plate. In our case, I want to choose empty background plate for compositing. I will choose the local models for free, so we don't have to pay for this. We can go to Comfy mode and then choose the FLUX to Klein edit. I personally think this is the best model for photoreal images, so we can select that one. Quality high and aspect ratio, we can set it to auto. Generate background image, and here it will render on our GPU 100% locally. And as you can see, now it generated the image, and we can regenerate, edit, or add to the media pool. And if you look closely, we have this spotlight on the left side that corresponds with our actual footage, and that should match perfectly for the composite. For me, this image is fine, so I will add this to the media pool. And just as an example, here in the media pool, when you select your image, we can simply drag it under our subject. But using this method, we have to do some compositing to blend it all together. That's where relighting the entire scene can be very handy if you want to have a specific look. But as you can imagine, it's much cheaper to generate images than generating videos. Because relighting is a video-to-video model, it works best using the best capable models out there, just like Seedance or Kling. So we can go to the fal.ai cloud mode. That way we have the best models possible, and we can also animate our clip. So now when you go to image model, it will show you the image models on the cloud. Now for relighting our scene, there are two ways to do it within AI Video Studio. First one is selecting your clip, going to the edit video, and then right here, there's a relight option. And in this text box right here, we can describe our new environment, lighting, and look. For example, I can say a neon lit old school recording studio 2002 era. Then check to relight the scene. And here we have the image models and video models we can choose from. I'm right now in the cloud version using fal.ai, so we can go to frame first, so that will create our reference frame first for the video to video. We can also choose direct, that will directly create our AI renderer. To make this as efficient as possible, I recommend creating your frame first. If you're happy with that frame, we can then do our video generation. We can also add our references if we have a location or style we want. I will go for Seedance fast because it's one of the cheapest options. It's only 720p, but I will upscale that footage so we have better results. Then we can go ahead and generate the image. Then GPT-2 came up with an image like this. And if you like this reference image, you can choose the Seedance fast and also type in a prompt for the animation if you want to. I also made a second generation. I changed the prompt slightly, and I also used Nano 2 for this, and then we get the result like that. And if you are happy with this, we can animate this and apply it to the clip. But I think that you have a lot more control using the backdrop generator for this. But just for the sake of this tutorial, I will animate this and apply it to the clip. After a few minutes, the Seedance reference video is done and all the motion and everything is preserved. Our scene is relit and it's using the exact frame we just generated. And because we also selected our 4K upscaler, it will automatically upscale that footage. This looks a lot sharper and more usable. And we don't have to use any 4K AI rendering for this. And of course, we can add this to the media pool or to the timeline itself. And then we have it right here in our DaVinci Resolve timeline. While working on this video, I wanted to relight this shot in the intro. I made a prompt in the relight section and then created this reference image. But when I wanted to create the AI video itself, it gives me this error in fal.ai. And I think it might be because of the logo or the face itself. Sometimes Seedance will cancel or give you an error when real faces are shown or logos in your shot. And the only way I found to bypass this is to blur out your face and the logos completely and then use that for the video to video. And after doing that, the relighting worked and it didn't give me an error on fal.ai. So that's a handy tip if you ever run into this same issue. Here is another example using the backdrop generator with the subject in the scene. The only thing we need to change here is select to have the subject in the scene and also use that prompt. For example, here I have a nature landscape scene in the rocky Icelandic backlit sun. And then with FLUX 2 Pro, we have a very nice result. And now we can also animate this and relight the whole clip using Seedance or any other model that you would like to use. And this is the final result of our relighting. We also upscaled this so it's a bit nicer in clarity. And hopefully we can get this type of quality or even better running it locally. But for now, only the cloud models can do that. If you are wondering the cost in fal.ai, we can go to the fal.ai dashboard. And for this FLUX 2 image, it was about 0.04 cents. So that's very cheap for image generation. Then for video, for a 4-second clip using Seedance Fast, it's about $1.01. But keep in mind when you are using Seedance 4K or 1080p, for example, it can add up and it can cost a lot more than this. I recommend just using 1080p or 720 and then upscaling it because that's much cheaper to do. Now for green screen keying, there are many different techniques we can apply, but I will give you my take on it and be straight to the point and not too technical, hopefully. And for this, I will use Fusion inside of DaVinci Resolve. If you never used Fusion before, I made a beginner tutorial for that on the channel. So go check that out first and then come back to this video. This is our footage we're gonna work with. First, make sure it's converted into a viewable format. For example, here in input color space, we have Canon Cinema Gamut Log 3. In our project settings, I have it set now to DaVinci YRGB color managed and using the HDR color processing mode. Then go ahead and open up the Fusion page. Before keying anything, I recommend adding a denoiser first because sometimes we can have some noise in our footage, fine grains. So I'm gonna add a noise reduction tool. I will leave everything at the standard and just increase the threshold for both our temporal threshold and the spatial threshold. Make sure the noise reduction is selected by hitting 2. And make sure to not overdo the spatial threshold, just a tiny bit. And then also play around with the blend. And that way our footage is denoised and it looks a lot cleaner to key out. After that, I will add a delta keyer. And this will be used to key out our green. So take the output of our noise reduction and place it into the input of our delta keyer. Then with your delta keyer selected, hit 2 to preview it. Then we can go to our background color and start selecting the color we want to key out. When we hit A on the keyboard, we can see the black and white values. Then go straight to the matte option in the delta keyer and clip the high and low threshold. If there's still a lot of white on your green screen, you can try to use the clean background slider, and this helps remove that a bit more. Same thing for the clean foreground. When we have some black spots, we can add a bit more foreground back in. On the edges itself, we can also add a bit more blur. So those edges look a bit more cleaner, just like that. And that's all we have to do for our main key. If you want to get rid of the elements we don't want in the scene, we can add a polygon mask and then add the points to keep all the portions of the green screen just like that. And this is very important. Make sure you right click on the output and then use a garbage matte. Then in the mask itself, we can invert this. Then we only have our subject in the scene. Now this key is not bad at all, but we can make it a bit better using the corridor key. This is a new AI technology from the guys over at Corridor Studio, and there's a link in the description if you want to download that corridor key. It's 100% for free on GitHub. When everything is installed, we can go to corridor key and add it onto our pipeline. And the idea is to use our current delta keyer as reference for the corridor key. With the key selected, hit Shift on the keyboard, add it between the media in and media out. And the only thing we have to do now is place our delta keyer output onto our green input. Make sure you preview the corridor key, and then our key should be fixed and much cleaner than it was. Just as an example, here is our corridor key, and this is without the corridor key. When you look at the fine edges here, you can see it's a massive difference, and all of the details are preserved. Especially when you look at the motion blur here on the guitar, it's a lot better and a perfect key in my opinion. If you look closer, we can see some artifacts from our mask. And one way to fix that in the corridor key is adding a background node. In the merge, make sure to use the operation mode to mask and then apply that polygon mask onto our background. And for this one, we need to invert that polygon mask again. And there we go. Now we have a much better mask using our corridor key. And obviously you can play around with corridor key settings. Right now this is set at the green color. The quality is set at auto. We can also use the high setting and ultra. But from my experience using just the default settings, it works every time. But if you do want to change it a bit, we can go to the matte options. And just like we have in the delta keyer, we can also use the clip black and white values. Then we can also change the spill of our green and also the edge, blur. There's all sorts of things we can adjust. But for me, this looks perfect. For performance, you can also choose a different model and enable tiling just to get some better performance. But keep in mind, this will take a long time to render. Even with the best optimized settings, it can take a while to render this output. And that was green screen keying with corridor key in a nutshell. And here are the two images we just created. And let's say we like this one, then we can add it behind our footage. And as you can see, it matches the perspective and our lighting, but we still have to fine tune it a bit to make it blend more. That way everything will integrate nicely. The best way to do it is with some simple compositing and color corrections in the color page. So look for an effect called lens blur. We can also do this in Fusion, but just for this tutorial, I will show the easy way using the editing page. So we're gonna add this lens blur onto the footage and decrease the blur size to something very small, say 1.5. After that, we can go to the color page and a few things we want to select. We want to have our timeline. This is the background layer and this is the foreground layer. I will first go to the color wheels. We can check our log curves and here we also have our white balance. And all we are doing now is minor corrections to make it blend a bit more. So the first thing I will do is correct the white balance of our background image. I will select this icon right here for white balance and then select something on our foreground element that is white. For example, this cap is good reference for the white balance, so I will select this one right here. Now this is before and this is after. This helps a little bit to blend it together. And one other trick is our black levels of the AI image. You can right click on the previewer and then show picker RGB value. That way, when we choose the picker here on the preview qualifier, we can then see our RGB color values. Go to the darkest point of your original footage. And here we have a very dark value of 002 in the red, green, and blue channel. When we compare this to our AI image, you will see 015008. It's a lot brighter than this dark level. To fix that, I will add another serial node. So hit Alt-S to add a new node. Then go to the HDR values. And the dark value, I will decrease the exposure a bit. And then with the color picker, we can double check this and try to match those levels exactly like it is in our foreground element. The black levels are now a bit closer to our foreground element. What I personally do now is adding an adjustment layer on both of our clips. So go back to the edit page and place it above our two clips. And with this clip selected, we can go to the color page, and here we can do our final corrections. You can already see this integrates nicely and looks a lot better than it was before. So what I personally do in the first node, I will select our curves and then do a simple curve adjustment to make sure our values are not clipping. And then I will add in a S-curve. And as a final step, like the icing of the cake, it's our color grading. And for that, I will use my own signature LUT preset. These are just LUTs to generate a look much faster. We have all sorts of LUTs we can choose from the library, but I will use my own. So add another serial node and then add in our LUT. And then this icon right here, the key, we can go to the key output and adjust our gain to a much smaller value. That way, we have just a little bit of that look. So this is the before and this is the after. It looks a little bit more cinematic, a little bit nicer. And a final note I will add is Film Look Creator. This is only available on the studio version, so I will add this. And this just makes it a bit more cinematic and just adds that film grain to it. With this effect, we can have this nice edge wrap we see here. And I will also decrease that saturation. Then we get an effect like this. You can also add a bit more vignetting onto our image. And in the grain option, you can choose which preset you want. I will go for a 35 and maybe increase the grain a little bit. And all those small little corrections make your composite that much better. After experimenting with it for a while, here are the results of all the relighting and composites I made using this clip. If there are guitar players out there, don't judge me too much. I just started playing guitar, but here are the results.